I want to go into play because I spoke about it a little bit earlier. So here, play is really used to compare one company with many things, including the index. So let me just take, let us take banks. So if I take HDFC Bank, okay. Now what it is doing, it is comparing HDFC to the Indian market. The way it does that, it takes 6 criteria: drawdown, capital structure, consensus view, as you can see here. Okay. If you want to know what they mean, just click on the question mark and it will explain these terms. Now, what it does, it takes the market and takes the stock and it plots it on a 0 to 20, gives it a 0 to 20 score where 20 is best. So you can see the actual score. Now, consensus view for HDFC is much better than market. Their drawdown, which is the volatility, is better than market, and all other criteria is not as good as market. And the same thing is represented by the picture here because it becomes a very easy visual comparison. So you can compare it to banks, and if you see the FS banks over here, if I compare it to banks by clicking on it, it has a very different comparison. The way to understand this is that consensus view, that means analysts like HDFC Bank much better than average of all banks. But on valuation, HDFC Bank scores much worse, which means it's a much more expensive stock. Okay. On future outlook, it is better than market. Historical performance, not so good as market. Drawdown, slightly better. Capital structure, about equal. So this is again a very interesting comparison. So if you're evaluating buying Yes Bank versus HDFC Bank, you can then say, I want to compare it HDFC with Yes Bank. So now you go to competitor name at the bottom and you say Yes Bank. And now you can see a comparison of HDFC Bank and Yes Bank. Now, Yes Bank is worse than HDFC on everything except valuation because it is cheaper stock. So if I had a choice to buy either Yes Bank or HDFC Bank, this picture is clearly telling me that HDFC Bank is a better stock than Yes Bank. So, this is not a perfect view, but this is a very easy comparison between two companies. And I would really encourage you, all of you, to use play as much as you can just to understand what is going on. I could say, okay, Yes Bank is not my target. I want to compare it to Axis Bank. And now if you compare it to Axis Bank, now you can see Axis is actually a lot better than HDFC on many criteria. Analyst view, very similar. And it's a little more volatile, so it doesn't do so well at drawdown, but historic performance, future outlook, and valuation, this looks like a much better stock. So if I wanted a large cap stock, one of the bigger Indian private banks, this picture would sort of tell me that maybe looking at Axis Bank is a much better idea than looking at HDFC Bank. So look, you can come to your own conclusions. The data is all here. Our task is to give you the information, give you the data, and let you decide. And the reason I went through this comparison in a bit more detail is so that you understand how play itself can be an incredibly powerful way to do this. And of course, the moment you see this